Hey, Salty. I'll be starting in a bit. Kind of have a thing I want to do on this one, so hope everyone's having a good night so far. Tap that screen and share if you guys can. Get a few more people in here and get me going. And it's going pretty good, Salty. It's kind of a new thing I want to try doing here, so a little nervous right now, but other than that, I'm glad that it's here. Hey, T. I'm doing pretty good. Going to be telling my story today, kind of. How are you doing today? I need music. Yeah, it's got colder here too. Like it's been pretty warm for the last month, and at night it's cooling down quite a bit here. So it is an adjustment, but I'm kind of liking it. Fat kids like cooler temperatures. So I'll start rambling on and stuff like that in a little bit.
Salty, that's where you are. They're in Spokane.
Spokane, not too far away from you actually. I'm just outside Vancouver, BC. So not Vancouver by you, but the Vancouver up here. So, but been to Spokane many, many a times actually. So back in my football playing days for high school and that, we'd always go down and play the one of the Spokane schools at least once a year, just do kind of like a border cross thing. So Canadian kids could see the U.S. kids, and U.S. kids would come up here and see the Canadian kids. It was pretty cool. The one thing I learned is when you're playing a football game and your game ends at 10 o'clock at night in Spokane, it's hard to find something to eat after at times, or at least back then.
Victoria, they've been to. Used to live in Seattle till 2014.
Oh, okay, yeah, so, yeah, Victoria being too lots of time. Seattle, I like Seattle. It reminds me a lot of Vancouver. So, laid out a little different, but it's a fun place to go down to. Yes, I do. I do have my wife helping me today, so but once I start getting into it, today's going to be a lot of me kind of talking, and then kind of like this is kind of a podcast series I want to start setting up and stuff like that. So that's kind of where this is starting out. This is a dream right now. What I'm doing is a dream, and it's something I never thought I'd have the courage to do or anything, but I'm here and doing it. So, so tonight's kind of the launch of this for me. And hey, Bree, thank you for coming. Um, so yeah. Um, I think we give it another minute since I did give everyone till 8. Oh, hey. I learned if you swipe right, you can see the comments a whole heck of a lot easier. And I don't have to look at myself the whole time. So this might actually be a better thing that I just discovered. Learn something new every day. Okay, well, I'm going to start going here, and like I said, there's quite a few things that I want to kind of start talking about tonight. And so, like I said, this is the first and hopefully a long series. I'm kind of doing it Spuddly Speaks. It's an idea that I've had for a very long time, way back in like 1999, and when podcasts and everything were starting to come in. I always envisioned I want to do something like a podcast, and one of the things that I've had to, hey Chief, kind of go through in my life, and the stories that has made me who I am. Okay, and I want to tell some of my stories, but I also want to tell some other people's stories and stuff like that. I've suffered with depression, lots of anxiety and stuff like that. I've, had to be on medications. I've spent time in some mental wards and stuff, and it's all part of my story that's made me who I am today. So part of this, so today is going to be a lot of me just kind of talking. I will try and interact with some people in the chat, but I have some people that mean a lot to me in here that are really good with chats and stuff like that can. So keep yourselves busy in the chat right now. I'm not going to guarantee you I can pick everything up right now because I'm just, I kind of have this all worked out in my head how it's going to go. I want to spread my story and not so people can feel sorry for me or anything like that. It is for me. It is purely to make me feel better. And if other people get something out of that, great. I love it. And, you know, today's going to be me, but, one of the things that I want to start doing is we'll have I've got quite a few contacts, and I have some panelists that will probably be coming on later on, specific people that are trained in a lot of what I go through, right? I'm Stephen, who we all know, Live Radar. You know, he has a saying lately, and he's like, I'm just an idiot with a platform or an idiot with a mic, and that's all I am too. And but I've gone through a lot of stuff, and I've seen a lot of stuff. And if I can show you that there's a human side of me, a compassionate side, a caring side, that's great. Hey, Mike, it's going good. So I want to kind of share that. And so this is kind of a safe space. I'm sitting on my deck right now. I'm all chilled, and this is my safe space. It's where people come to sit and talk, and we have coffee, and I have my best friend in Calgary, and this is where I will sit and talk to him for hours about just, we'll go on to wacko stuff, and like, just thinking, having fun, not taking anything too serious, right? It's just all about having fun and living out the days. So that's kind of what I want to do with this. And I want to start, like I said, bringing panelists on and stuff like that. But for me today, it's all about me. And, it's something that I don't know how to say very often. It's all about me. I, even though I do make it about myself at times, I'm always worried about hurting other people's feelings around me and stuff like that. So I'm going to give you guys kind of like a breakdown of kind of what I've been going through lately and stuff like that. So, right now we'll start. We'll get to where I am right now. But growing up, typical kid growing up, family issues here and there, money issues here and there, like stuff that we've all gone through, right? And all my life I've had a really hard time believing in myself. I think that's the biggest hurdle that is always in front of me is believing in myself. And I would thank you, Michael. That's awesome. And you guys don't have to gift. I'm not expecting gifts, and they're appreciated big time. But the likes mean just as much as the gifts and stuff. So, thank you. And we can see how I can get derailed really fast. It's like squirrels. So this is why I'm going to try and keep on my train. So from here on in, I'm going to get Sarah, that's Sakinko in the chat. She's going to be writing down people that are gifting and stuff like that because I really do want to acknowledge them. And so what I'm going to do is anyone that does give me a gift or anything like that, and the people liking, I'm going to put a special video together naming all those people. And that's my way of kind of giving back for not being able to always see what's going on in the chat right now. So right now, here's where I'm sitting at life. I was having the time of my life, actually. Where I was working, everything was going great. I got this huge promotion. I had people underneath me, and I was in charge of a lot of stuff. Now, unfortunately, I can't talk about a lot of what I did there because of just reasons. But, it's been hard because I was at the top. To me, I finally felt like I'd broken through everything and that I finally had done something to make me feel proud in life. And then one day I'm at work and I tripped and fell and I hit my head. And I hit my head pretty hard. And it's been a real struggle ever since that day. So that happened on April 23rd. It's a day I'll never forget. It's an incident I'll never forget. It is in my mind solidly. And from there, I went from the top of my life and it's brought me right back down to some places I've been years ago where I hate being. But I'm trying, right? And one of the biggest problems is I have such a lack of self-confidence at times. And when this incident happened, some people put some ideas in my head. And then some things were said by certain doctors and stuff that fed into what I wanted to hear. And what I wanted to hear at the time is that, well, Stephen, you're just a crazy person. This is all in your head. You're faking it. And none of this injury is real. Because to me, that was the easiest, some counseling, some pills and stuff like that, and it's over with. Well, this is something I've been struggling with ever since that injury. And the one thing I didn't notice when I got hurt is I was starting to have seizures. And I just thought they were little blips and stuff like that. And well, thank you, Michael. You know what? We'll be getting there. And thank you. We will be getting there. This right now, and I don't want to say it's the bad, but it's the story. And one of the things that I think a lot of us lose is that actual story. Everyone has a story. Everyone has stuff they go through, and I can't imagine, there's so many people I've met on this app TikTok, and one of the most remarkable things is how there's these group of people around me that have a similar feeling to what I'm feeling right now, and similar struggles. And we all have differences in life, but we all are going down sort of the same path. And so this is one of the reasons I want to tell my story, because this is how my path almost got diverted to the point where I almost wasn't here. And this is how bad I let my mind get to me on top of the injuries I was. So, like I said, there's all this stuff going on. I've been in and out of hospitals. I've been on ventilator. I've numerous ambulance trips. It was a very brief period of time, but I saw some of the reports, and I was looking, and they were showing on the ambulance trip when I stopped breathing at one point in the ambulance, and there's about 40 seconds to flatline. And that scares the crap out of me. I have a huge background in medical and stuff like that. Both my parents, they've passed away, dealt with a lot with them. So, things were starting to fall in place. And, about a month ago now, I had a really bad incident where I ended up in the hospital, ended up there for a week. It was seizure after seizure after seizure after seizure. And it basically caused me to reboot. So we all know Brian, and he reboots. Well, I can reboot at times, but mine are seizures where his are a little bit different, right? And so I went through this big blip, and I remembered tiny bits and pieces, like firemen dragging me out of the house, me getting put in an ambulance, and hearing them talk about, okay, this person's going into the vast life support ambulance with him. You take this, you take this. It's scary stuff. They had to put me in a medically induced coma because the seizures were so bad. And it wasn't days, it was hours. But I don't care, hours, days, it doesn't matter to me. Like, I woke up at one point knowing that there's a machine breathing for me and struggling, and they had to put me back under. So these are all horrible things, but I'm still here. I'm still able to say I'm still Steven. I'm still here. And it's really sad that it took this to make me realize that, holy crap, what I'm going through right now is real. Like, this is not made up in my head. Like, I almost was not here. And I let other people get into my head because I want to believe that I'm just crazy. Because if I was crazy, like, the other alternative is like, oh my god, this is actually happening to me, and like, I'm at the top of my life. How dare it, right? So for me, it's been a very negative time at times, but it's for me, it's stopping and slowing down, right? And it's not so much about worrying about the past. And I hear so many people say, let's put the past behind us. It's in the past, it can't hurt us. Well, no, it can't hurt us if we don't let it, but it forms who we are. And we have to acknowledge the past. So, this whole injury has been the most remarkable journey in the world for me, because it finally made me stop from going 1,000 miles per hour and trying to do everything, to slow down and actually look at what I've accomplished in life. And what I've accomplished is quite a bit. And I'm not just this little, to see who I am. And it's almost like a reset on life for me right now. And basically, I'm getting to learn things my way, right? I'm learning how to write again, but I'm actually writing better in some ways than I used to do. And I'm learning how to see and watch TV again. You know, Even doing stuff like this is therapy for me because I'm getting to talk to everyone, but I'm also trying to see the chat as it's scrolling, and that's one of the things I have to work on is following things with my eyes. Because right now, like even when I go to the doctors and that, I'm definitely not allowed to drive. I have seizures, so I have to go at least 6 months without them before I'm allowed to get behind the wheel again. But like I can't even go and call my brother and say, "Hey, take me out for a drive," which was always my release. And you know, it's hard um, to deal with a lot of what they tell me I can't do. Um, Michael, that's a very good point right there. I am a very compassionate person, but there's been some events that have come through, and the one thing I'm really starting to learn is people have mistaken my kindness and compassion for a weakness. And I was always afraid of hurting other people's feelings on that. It's like, oh, I can't. But you know what? The one thing that has taught me is there's this huge community around me right now that are cheering me on and letting me cheer them on. And we have all these people behind us. So there's been some pretty bad crap and people that have treated me not so well since this has happened. But before, where I would be trying to hold on to those people because they're just one more friend, one more thing to boost my who I am, who I thought I was, to make me feel better about things. That's all they were. They were just, it was almost like a drug. They and I finally have learned how to look at things and cut the crap out because I don't have time for the crap. And I can still be a compassionate person. I can still do my building of people up, but I can also now be more guarded and look out for some of the things that I used to miss, right? And the one thing I'm really learning is that it's okay to need help at times. Um, but no, Michael, 100%. I totally agree with you. There's a handful of people in my life that are by me that are still here. But so many of my friends, so many of the people I worked with, it's like, oh, we miss you and you did so much and you did this. I'm like, then why doesn't someone pick up the phone and call me? Like I can't go to work right now. I can't even watch TV for more than 5 minutes. I can do some TikTok at times because I can listen and say a few stupid things and people will laugh. And, you know, see you later, Deanne. Thank you for stopping by. And so it's just, yeah, it's, I think we need to focus on ourselves quite a bit more and everything like that. But you know, I think we have to weed the people out, right? And say why they weren't good enough for you. I'm like, huh? He's like, well, think about it. He's like, you have all the stuff that's happened in your life, but you've basically turned all these people down in the end because they were trying for their own agenda with you, and you've fought it, and you've dealt with this injury, and you're fighting it, and you're a survivor, and you don't need to prove anything to anyone anymore because you don't need to prove it to yourself anymore. family can be the worst. You know what? Um, Family is a very vague term for me because I have some people that I consider family that are not blood. And there is some family members that I only think of as friends and not family. Like, it just because they're family doesn't mean they're right. And I think one of the biggest challenges I see is right now, like me and my wife, it's really hard for her because I have had the mental health issues, and then you throw this concussion, brain injury on top of it, and a lot of stuff doesn't make sense to me right now. And so, at times she takes the brunt of it, and she's always there picking me up, making sure I'm safe. She's a big reason that I'm able to do any of this because I can't put it all out there in front of me, right? It is a lot of her helping out in the background. And to me, that's what family is. And, since I made this mistake of going onto TikTok, and I don't want to call it a mistake anymore, but like I went onto TikTok one night and I started scrolling through. And, there is so much crap on TikTok. We know it. The battles, I think, are just a broken system that's stupid. But this side of TikTok, the family side of TikTok, is, I think, where we all need to be focusing, right? And it sounds like a really simple thing, but it's going back to the old days of helping each other. Right now we are so in our heads about we always have to be right. And if this person and this person doesn't agree with me, well, they're my mortal enemy. No, there's a lot of people in my life that I don't agree with on a lot of some pretty important subjects, but they're still my friends. And they know not to convince me, and I know not to try and convince them. There's just certain stuff that's off topic. But I never want to go and, end up having a fight and leaving it there. I'd rather talk it out and just get it done with now. It's the same thing with my wife now, right? I know when I screw up. I screw up bad at times. And I can go and skirt around the subject and like, oh, I love you, but no, it's just like, hey, hun, I screwed up with you. I did this wrong. I admit it. Can we make this better? And we don't always have to be right. Prove me wrong. I love it when people prove me wrong.
And once upon a time, we did have neighbors that helped neighbors. It's very
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, exactly. When I was growing up, so like Vancouver, BC, Canada is like any town, city in North America. And I'm very late 70s. I was born in 79, so I'm an 80s child. And my parents were, my dad was a little bit older than my mom, so my dad was kind of that 50s, 60s greaser type. My mom was more that 60s, 70s flower child. So I have kind of a mix of both of them inside of me. But the one thing I remember growing up, like my grandfather had this huge property in Vancouver, which like now would be worth millions of dollars. And it was like two city lots, and he had this garden full of potatoes and berries and cherries and like you name it, he grew it. He was one of the first people to successfully grow kiwis in Vancouver. And all he would do was hand all this stuff out, but this person would hand this back, and like it was a good old barter system. And the families that were down, you guys, we would all make stone soup at times. It's like, hey, I got this in the freezer, I got this in the fridge, and everyone would get together and make food together, or snacks and treats and the kids and stuff like that. And I miss those times, right? Um, as bad as this whole COVID thing was, I think we got to see each other again in a lot of ways. We got to spend the time with our families. And, you know, the internet's a wonderful and dangerous thing because you can get dirt on anything, anyone, anywhere. And you can find the nastiest crap you want to find on the internet. But even on TikTok, like we can go on saying how TikTok bans people for this and is dumb for this and done for this. But, you know, the one thing it's done is brought so many of us together. And to me, that is the most amazing thing ever, is how there's so many people all around that have some sort of connection. And I really, you know, to me, I think that is probably the most important thing that I see
Good
happening.
night, T. Thank
Good
you.
night, T. And, you know, what I see starting to happen, like you look at the war in Ukraine. Now, my background on my mom's side is very heavily Ukrainian. And, like, I look at the war going on there. And, you know, it's so many people just don't seem to care. That's what they show on the news. But when you look at the grassroots, you start seeing how everyone cares, right? And, you know, to me, that's what's getting missed, what we're all missing in these little fights and these little skirmishes and stuff with each other. And, you know, there's a lot of issues down the States, and I get it. And there's a lot of issues, the same issues in Canada, right? And, you know, there's stuff about laws that we don't like, and this we don't like, and this we don't like. But we really are the ones that can be the ones to change this, right? And losing the rights that people are losing right now, that is what it really is about. It's not one thing. It's the basic rights that we're all losing right now because we're being so disjointed and so unconnected that we're losing the help of each other and that community. The, you know, if I would have kept my mind closed through this all, I could have just kind of skated through. It would have been easy. I could have just given up, collected rot on the couch, got paid out for the rest of my life. That's not good enough anymore. Because maybe I can say something that motivates someone, or I can see something from someone that motivates me. And when I go to different places and different rooms and different creators on TikTok, you know, even seeing some of the people that are coming in supporting me right now, they have very different feeds, very different pages, very different points of views, even. But the one common thing I see with so many of these people that are becoming part of me, and I'm being part of them, is that they care. And they're trying to do what they can in their corner of the world to make things better. And they're not doing it because we all want to get rich or we all want to get famous or because we think this is great. No, we do it because we can. You know, one of my mentors on here that's been helping me with all this, Steven, you know, like listening to some of the stuff that he has been saying and stuff and the journey that he's gone through, and then you hear this person's story and this person's story. And, you know, one of the most amazing things to me is a couple of days ago, I was in another person's room, and there's a guy named Brian in there that a lot of us all know, and he's got some pretty serious health problems going on. And one of the problems is if the poor guy laughs too much and stuff like that, he basically passes out. And so one day we're all in a room, we're all a bunch of people in boxes, and we're just joking around, and he's having fun, and he goes down. And the one person that knows him the best says, "Don't worry about it. You'll be fine. You'll know when he's back." And sure enough, you hear him take the big breath. He gets up, and he's just got like a big smile on his face. Like this guy just had a pacemaker, zap him back to life because he was laughing too hard. And he gets up and continues joking with us. And now we all joke about how he's rebooting, and people are like, oh my god, that is so horrible. How can you say that about him? But he's the one that's telling us this, and we're laughing about a really bad situation. And we're not doing it to make fun of him. We're not trying to, it's to make him feel like, hey, we're here. We don't know how to react to it. Let's make a joke. You know, yes, he does, Michael. He has an awesome attitude. And, you know, like, there's like so many of these people that I'm meeting like this. We all have that story. And we all have that story to tell. And, you know, there's a guy, his name's Tiny, and he lives in Ontario, and I've been following him since the beginning. And the guy's going through some terrible stuff of his own, right? And but he's been able to share some of that pain with me and others, and we're able to do little things to help him up. And we haven't made his life perfect, but at least we've made him feel like there's people there for him at times. And that is the most incredible feeling that anyone can ever get. And, you know, it's the same thing here. Yeah, I know I don't have a lot of people in here right now, but I have a lot of people that care. And I've also done this because you have a tiny here too, 6'3" and 300 pounds. I'm 6'4" and 290, so not far off it, right? So that's you know, that's actually how we got connected. Is I went to the room and talked and stuff, and he was talking about Tiny, right? And I'm like, hey, that name really resonates with me. My grandfather used to always call me that, right? And so he started talking about his life and told me how he's part indigenous and stuff, and to honor my ancestors, I'm the only other person that can come into his room that he'll call Tiny. You know, that's a personal connection there that meant something to me, right? Because he's honoring my story, and I honored his story, and we're both better for it. And I've learned how to change some of my actions going forward because of it. And you know, it's like trolls. Like trolls now. You know, I've done live radar now, being a mod in the live radar shows where, you know, we had like 1.2k people in the room, and yeah, there was trolls came in, but we fed off them. It's just like, you know, if you want to, I know, you know what, Michael, 100%. Um, I am sharing with the world, and you know, one person at a time, and I'm just a guy that's lucky, that's very lucky, and it is giving me confidence. I've been shaking all day thinking about doing this, and I'm like, why? You know, I have to believe in myself for once, and that's what everything in my life has taught me. It's no one, people are going to help. I know that people are going to try and help me as much as they can, but I'm the only one that can either put a roadblock in or remove it. You know, there's some stuff outside of my control I can't control. I'm not even going to try, but I'm not going to stop myself just because I'm a little scared or think I'm lacking confidence or anything. Thanks so much, Ben. You know, when I saw you came into the room, you don't know what that did for me. So thank you so much. Um, you know, that means so much to me, Ben. It really does. Acknowledging the people that have helped me get here. I think that's a big key, right? So, like, please, like, Ben, New Vision, Psycho. Yeah, my mouth is, but you see him in there. My wife just, please follow him. Like, his stuff is amazing. He has opened my mind to stuff I never thought I'd be open to again, right? And you know, and then there's like Steven, Live Radar. A lot of us know him. You know, he has taught me so much. And there's another creator that I know, Tony Elon. He does like comedy, kind of libertarian and stuff. Not everyone's cup of tea, but he's got the same message. I think one of the things that hit me hardest is, he's ex forces down the states, or retired. But he's still a Marine down the states. I can't remember how he phrases it, but he did a video, and in that video someone made reference to like 22 or 23, and that means it's 22 or 23 veterans a day die in the states because of
22.
depression, anxiety, and stuff like that. And they basically said, well, why don't you go be one of these numbers? Like, how can you say that to a human being you've never met? And like, here's a guy that supports all his fallen colleagues, and he's not saying that military is the best or this is the best, but he's seen the people go through this pain, and people go and pull this crap. Like, why? Like, I that to me is the biggest puzzle in the world. Is like, why do we have to treat each other like this? Why do we have to put each other in groups? Why do we have to, like, like, everyone's worried about pronouns now and what you want to be in that. You know what? I have a simple rule in life. I don't care what you identify as. I really don't, because I see you as a person. That's what I really see in everyone, as a person. And instead of going, hi sir, hi madam, or anything, I'm just like, hey, what's your name? Oh, hi Joe, like, how are you doing today? Right? Because I don't want to assume. And people get to be who they want to be. That's the wonderful part about life. You can be who you want to be. And sometimes there's consequences for stuff we do, but it's I have no place to say what one person should be called or another. I
Good
don't
night,
care.
Michael.
Good night, Michael. Yeah, I know. West Coast. It's only like 8:30 here, but so many people. It's a lot later than that on a Saturday, and um, this is my fun. This is me going out to the bar and drinking. This is me just talking, having fun. And um I I had planned about an hour for this. I'm probably going to cut it off in about another 10 minutes here, because even I'm getting a little bit tired, and I don't want to push it too hard right now, because to me this is so much fun. And yeah, big kid, it is late there, I know. Like, I'm again, I'm so happy that you stopped by too. Like, all of you that have come in and out of the live today, like, this means the world to me. And yeah, like, I just can't tell you guys how much this has meant to me tonight. And I want to thank you all so much for this. And you don't know what this just unlocked for me today. And I think when I first was going to do this, I was going to come at it from a different angle. But you guys are what made me come to where I am right now. And yes, the neighbor's dog's barking if anyone catches it. I'm on my deck because it's nice and safe out here. Um, so I've thanked a lot of people. There's so many more to thank in my life. I can't even begin to thank them all. And thank you for listening to a kid from Canada that finally took a chance on himself, that finally saw what a lot of other people saw in him, and that can hopefully make a few people happy from time to time. So, I think tonight that's where I'm going to end it off, because I can't feel any happier than I do right now. And the people that take their time to help one another, you are the true special ones. You are the angels in this world, and keep it up, because karma goes a long way, people. And the better the karma you give, the better you'll receive. So have a very wonderful night, everyone. Thank you for letting me do this. Thank you for giving me the strength to it. And take care, take care of one another, and love those close to you. Have a good night.